All right, guys, welcome back to Library Day. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Again, that's kind of like the theme of the year. Even though I couldn't be with you guys to do a live book talk session, I still wanted to share with you some awesome books that I think you would like. Let's go ahead and get started. If any of these books look good to you, then you can come on down to the library and check them out. I'll also try to include some links to book trailers as well, so you can watch those too. So this book is called The Terror at Bottle Creek, and it's about a kid named Court, and he is living in Alabama with his dad, and his dad he's like the local wildlife expert. He knows everything about the region and like the swamplands and everything that has to do with nature in Alabama. And so Court kind of grew up in that world too. He knows a lot about the world in which he's living and how dangerous it can be at times. And so what happens at the beginning of the story is Court ends up being left on his own as a hurricane makes landfall in Alabama, and Court ends up also kind of being thrust into a role of responsibility because he's trying to take care of some neighbor kids who are on their own as well. So all of a sudden, Court is trying to survive a hurricane and trying to keep these two little kids alive while also not succumbing to the threats and dangers that is everything living in the swamplands of Alabama. So this is a absolute thrill ride. If you want something that's gonna suck you in and not let you go, this is a good go-to book for you. It's one that's you're just gonna fly through it because the chapters are really short, and pretty much all of the chapters end up on a cliffhanger, which makes you just want to turn the page and keep on reading. So that's The Terror at Bottle Creek. So this book is called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. And yes, it looks like a Hunger Games book because it is a Hunger Games book. It's actually a prequel. And if you know anything about the Hunger Games, then you know President Snow. And this is kind of his backstory when he was a young man and he was just kind of getting started working in the Capitol. He, his family was very rich and very well-to-do, but something happened that kind of brought shame on his family, and his family name is crumbling. And so he's kind of the one that has to step up and try to save the respect that his family once had. And he becomes a mentor for a tribute in the 12th district, and he is determined to make sure that his tribute wins the Hunger Games by any means necessary. So if you want a story about President Snow, you can check this out. One of my library assistants read this and I asked her about it, and she's like, it was actually a really cool story. You end up getting a good look into Snow's head and everything that he went through to make him the man that he is in the Hunger Games. And you actually end up feeling a good amount of empathy for this guy who is evil in the world that we always knew him in. But in this book, he's not quite that man yet. So anyway, it's an interesting perspective. I haven't read it yet, so if you read it, please let me know what you think. This is called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So this is a book called The Price of Duty by Todd Strasser. I've read other books by this author before, and they're all very, very good, but I haven't read this one yet. But it's a war story, and it's about a guy named Jake Little, who he comes back from war as a very decorated and honored war hero. And everyone's praising him about all the amazing things that he did while he was fighting, and he's just trying to recover from everything he experienced, like the physical injuries that he has, and also the mental stuff that's going on with him too. Because all of a sudden, now that he's back from fighting and back from war, and he has firsthand experience about what it means to be in a war, he finds himself questioning a little bit, everything that he always believed about the military and the honor that goes with it and all these different ideas about what it means to be a soldier. He's wondering how accurate were those lessons? So he's questioning a lot right now. Meanwhile, he's got family who's saying oh, you're such a great hero. And, other people saying, you need to get back into the action as fast as you can. And he's like, guys, I just need to figure stuff out for myself. So if you want to read a book about someone who went through a lot during his time in the military and kind of the side effects that it has on a person physically and mentally, I think you might really like The Price of Duty. It's a nice short book too, so you'll kind of fly through it pretty quickly, I think. So this book is called Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. And like if you know me, then you know that I really don't read a lot of romance. But this summer I was like, you know what? We're gonna try a new genre, try something new. And it has stuck with me so hard. I really didn't think it would when I first started it, but I keep thinking about this book and the characters. It's about these two kids, got Pepper and Jack, and their families both own restaurants in New York City. Pepper's family owns like a burger chain, and then Jack's family owns like a local deli, and they are absolutely rivals because Pepper's family's business is accused of stealing a recipe from Jack's family's business. And so they start having this like Twitter war basically, even though neither kid knows like that, like who's behind it. Jack and Pepper are both in charge of the business Twitter accounts, but they don't know about that. They don't know that about each other in real life. So anyway, in real life, they start getting to know each other, and maybe like forming a little bit of a relationship and like falling for each other a little bit, not realizing that they are also kind of in a family war together online. So it's like I don't know, it's fun. It's got Twitter, it's got drama, it's got forbidden love. It's kind of like a modern day Romeo and Juliet where you've got the warring families and they're not supposed to be together, but they want to be. And anyway, it's cheesy, but if you want some cheese, here you go. We could all use a little cheese in our life. Speaking of cheese, I just had a realization. Pepper, Jack. Pepper Jack cheese. So this book that I want to tell you guys about is one that it gets overlooked so much because look at the spine. You see that spine sitting on a shelf? You're not going to know what that is. But if you look at the cover, it's an Avengers book. And like really, this is Infinity War in a book. So if you love the Avengers, if you love Guardians of the Galaxy and all those guys, and you want to read the Infinity War as a novel, we have it for you. I really don't want to say much more about it because if you know the story, you know the story. The Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Black Panther people, they're all teaming up to try to stop Thanos and his 6 Infinity Stones so that, they can restore world order. Yeah, it's just a fun action book. It's a book version of the movie. So you might want to check that out if you want to experience a story that you're already familiar with, but in book form. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for us today. If any of these books sound good to you, feel free to hop down to the library whenever you get a chance and you can check them out. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.